Despite what the headlines say, the Naples and Southwest Florida real estate market continues to move in a positive direction. Our sales activity is improving. The number of new properties coming to market for sale is slowing. And our overall number of properties for sale and our months of supply are stabilizing. And believe it or not, many of these positive indicators started happening back in the second quarter of 2025. Let's dive in and take a closer look at what's really going on. Mike Simonson of Altos Research says that Florida has 5% fewer homes for sale now than this time last year. He pointed out that across the Sunbelt states, inventory growth has slowed way down. And nationwide, there are still fewer homes for sale than in any time in the 2010s decade. Here in Naples and Southwest Florida, new homes coming to market for sale in January 2026 slowed year over year. The exact percentages were 18.2% for single-family homes and 17.6% for condos. Because new properties coming to market for sale slowed, our overall number of homes for sale continues to decline year over year. Throughout all of Southwest Florida, our overall number of homes for sale was down 3.5% in December and 5.7% in January. In Naples specifically, our overall inventory of homes for sale decreased 10.6%. We went from 7,082 properties for sale in January of 2025 to 6,328 properties in January of 2026. The number of pending sales, though, which are those properties that secure a contract with a buyer, are really what tells us the story moving forward. And here in Naples, buyer activity was up in January. Actually, it was up 40.3% over January of 2025. It's not too surprising that our buyer activity was up in January. I mean, that is our traditional start of high season here. But it also helped that just over 2,000 properties decreased their prices and just over 1,900 new properties came to market for sale. These two things likely provided buyers with more choices and more attractive price points. It is a fine balance, though. We do want more homes for sale on the market so more sales can happen. However, what we don't want is sellers flooding the market. That would begin a negative push for home prices. Speaking of sales, Simonson noted that Florida was positive in home sales by 6% in January and early February when compared to the same time period of 2025. And that sales momentum continued throughout the month of February. With fees and insurance costs increasing and large special assessments hitting owners unexpectedly, condos have been getting a bad rap the last few years. And yet, in our area of Florida, sales of condos actually increased 8.2% in January 2026 when compared to January 2025. Meanwhile, sales of single-family homes actually decreased 5.9% from January 2025 to January 2026. However, when we do look at these numbers, we do have to keep in mind that here in Naples, the number of condos for sale outnumbers single-family homes by about 500. Here in Southwest Florida, our monthly closed sales began posting year-over-year gains starting in the second quarter of 2025. Fourth quarter 2025 closed sales were up 21% over fourth quarter 2024. And this year, month to date through February 23rd, closed sales were up 11% year over year. So what were buyers after in January 2026 here in Naples? Well, condos over $5 million sold faster than any other home type or price point. And homes with 4 bedrooms or more were also on their radar. As of right now, there is no sign that there is a lot of inventory heading our way this spring. Simonson says that March is poised to have more sales and fewer sellers compared to a year ago. The question remains, though, are there more sellers waiting to sell than there are buyers waiting to buy? If so, then that would create an environment of rapidly rising inventory, and that's what we're keeping an eye on. According to Simonson, nationally, we have 11% fewer single-family homes and condos for sale now than we did in 2019. Inventory growth is slowing, and it doesn't appear that it will reach the levels that we saw prior to 2020. But let's look and see how some specific states are faring. Texas, for instance, has 40% more homes for sale than in 2019. And yet Illinois has 70% fewer, and Connecticut has 75% fewer than 2019. California also has 20% fewer, and Florida has 12% more than 2019. All in all, 14 states have more homes for sale than in 2019, and 36 have fewer. And yet, as we know, Any big weather event or big economic shift could derail any recovery. Home prices are also very fragile. The forecast by most experts is that home prices will remain mostly unchanged from 2025. That has been the trend so far this year, and it looks like it will continue. However, home prices could drop quickly if for some reason something happened, like maybe mortgage rates jumped again. So we just have to stay tuned. But Simonson says that so far the data shows that there is enough demand to support current prices. If you are a buyer waiting on the sidelines for prices to crater, he says that he doesn't see any signs in the data that shows that prices will be dipping further. He went on to say that even in our area of Florida, where prices are way off their peak from 2022, they are not really dropping below last year. And while there is enough demand, Simonson did point out that buyers are very patient. They are happy not to overpay for overpriced homes. Another thing we're keeping an eye on are mortgage rates, which are at their lowest in 3 years. This is tentatively having an impact on the market nationwide. Here in Naples, though, having more cash buyers helps insulate our market from the effects of changing mortgage rates. And our cash transactions actually increased in January 2026 to 67% from 61% in January 2025. Of course, the question is now, after the events that happened last weekend, what can we expect moving forward? As one mortgage expert pointed out, in recent history, markets have shown resilience in the face of similar geopolitical shocks. For instance, in January 2020, there was the assassination of the Iranian military leader. In October 2023, there were the Hamas attacks on Israel. And in June 2025, U.S. military operation Midnight Hammer targeted Iranian nuclear facilities. Each of these events created immediate volatility in oil prices and the 10-year Treasury. However, in all 3 instances, market conditions generally stabilized in about a week. Of course, history is no guarantee of future events. We remain hopeful that this conflict will be brief and that human impact will be minimal on all sides. Here's what you need to know. If you are thinking about selling, competitive pricing remains important. Inventory is down and sales are improving, but buyers are being selective. Homes priced correctly from the start perform the best. Also, homes may take some time to sell. Our current average days on market is 97. If you are thinking about buying, inventory does remain healthy at 8.4 months of supply throughout Southwest Florida and 9.2 months of supply in Naples. This means you have options, but keep in mind that well-priced homes can move quickly. This is not a market where deep discounts are common, but buyers who recognize fair pricing can still negotiate favorable terms. If any of this is making you think it's time to buy here or it's time to sell and relocate, please reach out to me. My information is here on the screen or down in the description below. If you want help understanding how these trends apply to your situation, whether you're buying, selling, or just watching, I'm here to help you make sense of them. And if you just want to learn more about our area, I did write the book, Moving to Naples, The Untourist Guide. It's now in its 5th edition. Please check it out on Amazon. It will give you some guidance on making a life here, whether full-time or part-time. I appreciate you joining me. I'm Alicia Shivers. Until next time.